Right, what's up everybody? Recently I've been testing Apex Legends. I've been fiddling around with CPU encoding as well. And here's what I did. Okay, so I had a fairly successful stream. Looks pretty good. If you go back and watch my streams on the live section on my channel, and it looks like absolute rubbish, that's because the stream is processed afterwards for Google to save some disk space or YouTube to save some disk space, and they do tank the quality significantly. Remember, I do have quite a small channel, so there's no way that they're going to prioritize my video quality over their disk space. So but what I do want to show you is in the background here, that's the stream now just after I've streamed. Well, maybe half an hour after I've streamed, before, you know, it's the YouTube compression has really tanked it. But basically what I want to say is, like, if you are on a very tight budget for a machine, a basic machine, you can actually stream fairly like hardware intensive sort of games and use the PC for streaming as well. Now, I have a NVIDIA card and an AMD card. My NVIDIA card's not in this machine, it's in another machine. But in this machine, I've only got the AMD, and in the past, I've had some success with the VARP encoder. But I really wanted to sort of test myself and see what I can do with CPU encoding. My CPU is sort of like a mid-range. It's a AMD Ryzen 5 3500X. So it's pretty decent. It doesn't have hyper-threading, but I wanted to sort of push myself and test and check and, you know, challenge myself to see how I can make best use of the CPU. So what I've done was, in a previous video, I have shown you how to use 2 cores for CPU encoding on OBS on Linux. I'm sure you could, you know, probably do something similar on Windows as well. But basically, it works quite well. And with the 2 cores on this sort of medium range CPU, I've had it up to 12 megabits where I've recorded 12 megabits bitrate, and I actually streamed at 12 megabits bitrate as well, even though YouTube kept telling me they recommend 4.5, which I don't know if they might I don't know, make the stream look better at 4.5. I don't know. I don't know, but I digress. The fact is, the CPU can manage 12 megabits per second on 2 cores alone. So just 2 cores for the CPU encoding, and it works quite well. The game runs fairly well just on the other 4 cores. I've actually limited the game to only use the other 4 cores. So that being said, obviously, if you have an extremely CPU intensive game, it won't work. But for most games, it's not super CPU intensive, and a mid-range CPU is still perfectly fine for a budget gaming setup. Okay, if you start like running extremely high frame rates and, you know, all sorts of stuff, you might run into issues. But for a basic, you know, setup, this is doing well. My monitor is only a 60 hertz refresh rate, but I did play the game at over 100 FPS most of the time. Now and again, you'll see it dip like in the lower 90s, but most of the time it stays over 100. I have it capped at 120, just so that we don't have like super like large frame spikes. But you know, again, point is, if you are thinking about streaming and you're telling yourself, oh, but I can't afford, you know, the latest and greatest hardware and stuff, don't fret. You know, if you can get a decent CPU and pretty much any GPU, you can do CPU encoding. Obviously, if you have NVIDIA, you can do the NVENC encoding. That will probably still work better than your CPU encoding, especially for these fast-paced types games. However, me personally, if you're going to be recording and then uploading, I have found that like the VARP encoder on AMD and NVENC, sometimes the quality isn't as crisp as a CPU encoder would do it. But yeah, so please don't feel like you cannot stream on a sort of a mid-range machine. You absolutely can. And yeah, I will post you know, the commands that I used to start OBS, as well as what launch options I used in Apex Legends on Steam, so that you can run it pretty much the same way I have it. If you have a 8-core CPU, you could potentially split it 50-50, so that the CPU encoding is even a little bit better, so that you can get high bit rates. Maybe you want to record at like 40,000 kbps or something. Then you'd be able to do it with 4 cores. However, for me, I've got a hexacore CPU, so I split the two cores for the OBS recording for the hardware encoding. Sorry, not hardware, software encoding for the H264, and then I think I have it on the very fast preset as well. So potentially with 4 cores you could bump it up to fast or whatever. You can experiment with that. And yeah, the other 4 cores just for the game. So that's it from me. Just a very quick video, just telling you, like, look, you can actually get decent streaming results. Now, you're not going to be like, you're not going to look like your top of the line streamers, okay? You're absolutely not. But it's decent enough to start off with, absolutely, to try and, you know, start streaming, get used to the idea. That being said, also, I was only streaming at 30 FPS. Again, if you have a octa-core and you allocate like 3 or more cores, potentially you could do 60 FPS. But you can fiddle around with it, test it, and see how it goes. But for now, I'm just recording this now. This, what you're seeing here, the gameplay, isn't what I recorded. This is playing from YouTube right after the stream, because like a couple of hours after the stream, this quality is not going to be anywhere close to what it is. I did swap over from Team Deathmatch over to Battle Royale later on. It seems like a lot of the Apex players, they jump into a Team Deathmatch, and it seems like they just don't like it, and they leave like halfway through, and then you end up having like 5 people fight one poor person, and there's no way to swap teams or to auto balance or anything like that. So if anybody from Apex, you know, from a development team is watching this, which I highly doubt, but if anybody is watching this, for your TDM, please, please, please have either auto balancing option, or give the players the option to move teams, because it is more enjoyable if the teams are balanced. It's not fun having 5 people on one team and 1 person on the other team. You know, it's really not fun, and a lot of people don't want to leave the match. They actually want to play. So please give us that option to swap teams, or at least put like an auto balancing sort of method in place, as well as stricter penalties for people who leave matches earlier. You know, maybe give them a longer timeout or something to join the next match or something, because a lot of these people, I think they look at their teammates and they're like, oh, my teammates suck, and they just leave, you know. So yeah, please do something about that. Also, if you are watching, please, please, please make Team Deathmatch like a permanent thing. I don't like Battle Royale, and I think a lot of people who enjoy TDM would actually move over to Apex. If you do make it permanent, that would be great. So here we were playing Battle Royale. I actually got multiple kills on this one, I think it was, which was the first time I ever, like in a Battle Royale, actually got multiple kills. I was so happy. I actually got like 5 kills or something in this round. I was like, wow, that's such a fluke. But anyways, if you're still watching, thank you so much for watching. Please do leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you are a Windows player, do consider Linux. It is a learning curve. There's a lot to know and learn about, but it is way easier gaming on Linux right now than it was like even 5 or 6 years ago. So absolutely give it a bash, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers. Bye.